Good afternoon, grade 11. Welcome to today's LO lesson. My name is Pulen Nitika and I am your LO teacher for the duration of the lockdown. On the screen is my email address, litikapuleng@yahoo.com. You're welcome to contact me with regards to anything that you want to ask about LO. Any questions, if you need any clarity about LO, you're welcome to email me. Yusika is my surname, Puleng is my name, that is in small letters, and it's at yahoo.com. Now we can start with our lesson for today. Today we're doing chapter 17, unit 2. The theme is identify and critically analyze moral and spiritual issues and dilemas. So basically, we're going to look at some moral issues, so issues that involve um, our values and our norms and what we've been taught is normal and what we've been taught is human, and our spiritual issues like our religious stances and how they affect our decision making, and then the dilemmas. So it's like what your moral issues and what your spiritual issues contribute towards the decisions that you make of whether you do something or not. So the lesson objectives for today are know how to identify and critically analyze moral and spiritual issues and dilemmas. So you're going to identify the moral and the spiritual issues, and then you're going to know how you must critically analyze the moral and the spiritual issues. So again, welcome to the lesson to everyone. Please feel free to participate. Feel free to go to the chat box and comment on anything that you want to comment on and ask any questions. And we must all participate. You can answer the questions if you want to. I'll go to the chat box and I'll read. And then if you have a comment to make, you can also make a comment. I'll let you do that. I'll unmute you. So that is what we will be doing for today. Let's look at what we're doing. So let's start. Sometimes you may have to make a difficult choice about something such as abortion. So we always have difficult choices to make in life. So one of the difficult choices that we have to make, an example that has been given here is an abortion. You might have to make a difficult choice about whether or not to tell someone something that you feel maybe might hurt them. So you might have to break something to someone about something that you know might not sit well with them. So a dilemma means that you believe there are good reasons for two opposing actions. So there are good reasons. So you will believe in this case, seen as we made an example with abortion, you will believe that there are good reasons to terminate a pregnancy, and again, there are good reasons to not terminate a pregnancy. So with every issue that might come up in your life, there might be a good reason why you want to do it, or a good reason why you might not want to do it. So ours is to be able to weigh our options and see which one is better and which one will benefit us the most. So if you have a dilemma, having strong beliefs and values may help you decide what to do. So if you have a dilemma, maybe your beliefs and values are more towards the spiritual, and maybe you are a religious person, so you'll decide in accordance to what your religion says you must do. For instance, in some religions, they believe that they don't have to go to the doctor, they can just get prayed for and then they'll get healed. That is something that you might make a decision on if you're sick. Whatever the illness you have, you believe that you'll get prayed for and you'll get healed. And on the other hand, it is also good for you to go to the doctor. So what the decision that you'll make of whether you'll go to the doctor or whether you'll go to the pastor will heavily lie on your belief system and your values. So you might opt not to go to the doctor instead. And that doesn't mean that the doctor doesn't work or you don't believe that the doctor is not going to heal you, but you're doing something based on your values and your beliefs. So this is also in other cases. I know, for instance, in religion, they might discourage you from getting a separation from maybe your spouse and say that you are married forever and that you should die in your marriage and that you should never give up on your marriage. On the other hand, you find that maybe your marriage is toxic, your relationship is toxic, and you might want to get out of it. So basically, it is going to be tough for you to make a decision of whether you must go or whether you must stay. But some people will stay because they believe that they must give this another chance, and some people will go. So, but in this case, I think it's a case of the two are not both good reasons. The other is just based on the beliefs, but then you should not. It is a bad thing to stay in an abusive relationship. So you have to gather information and facts and follow a decision making process. So basically, what we encourage you to do is to gather the information and the facts. Maybe you might find healing from a doctor. Maybe it's something that's curable and it's something that if you detect it early and it gets treated, it won't go to an advanced stage or get to a stage where it's terminal or where you are facing death. So maybe gathering information and treating your cancer if it's at the first stage, or just doing whatever. Maybe treating, if you find out that you've got symptoms for COVID-19, you're obviously going to want to go to the nearest COVID-19, one of the hospitals that have been allocated for that, instead of maybe just staying at home and meditating. So, an informed decision would be knowing that uh, you can recover and that you have to social distance and go get the treatment that you need. And it is possible for you to survive and live, unlike sitting at home and maybe meditating, coming into contact with other people, spreading the virus, and just end up maybe fatally getting killed. But this also means that we still need to obviously respect other people's choices and other people's beliefs. But I believe that it is good for us to gather facts so that you can follow a decision making process that is based on research, finding out what is the best decision to make based on research. So we're going to have a look at the right to life. So I'm sure you have heard people speaking about the right to life at some point in your life because there have been a lot of protest actions, petitioning, and a lot of debates around what the right to life is and who has the right to life. So it is also a source of contention. I know even in politics, it's big. Like in America, we know that we can just say generally that Democrats are pro life, and then we know that the Conservative Party, the Republicans, no, 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 no. The Republicans are pro-life, meaning they believe that you should not have an abortion, and then the the liberals, the Democrats believe that you should consider the rights of the women. The woman has the right to their own body. I think, yeah, that's correct. So you can also go to the chat box if you can explain it better than me in your own words. Remember, we're interacting. So according to our Bill of Rights, this is our South African Bill of Rights, everyone has the right to life. However, the Choice of Termination of Pregnancy Act number 92 of 1996, so this law was made in 1996, or CTOP Act gives women the right to decide whether or not to have an abortion. So in our country, it is a woman that can make a decision with regards to whether or not they want to have an abortion, and no hospital can deny women the right to decide whether or not to have an abortion. So, no hospital is supposed to turn anyone away who wants to have an abortion. So, situations where women are made to feel ashamed or embarrassed about their decisions, or they get mistreated when they get to hospitals, they get spoken to harshly and made to feel like they're less than, or already someone is not even asking what their opinion is or why it is that they're doing, that they've made the decision that they've made, but continues to judge them and just speak harshly against them and just be rude to them without knowing what the story is. So it is only fair that after a person has made the decision that we allow them to just carry on with the process without denying them access to a hospital and just peace in their lives. So no hospital can deny a woman this right. So some people's religious beliefs are against abortion. So there is a dilemma between the law and their beliefs. So in South Africa, the law does allow for a woman to have an abortion, but it is some people's morals and values and spiritual beliefs don't necessarily agree with this notion. So yes, let's move on to the examples that we are busy making. So the right to life is one you have to ask to work out for yourself. Ask yourself the following questions. All right. So these are the following questions that you have to ask yourself with regards to the right of life. So just seeing whether you understand it and just seeing whether you are balancing everything out and that you are being objective. So question number one, does the right of life in the Constitution apply only to people who are already born? So, so the argument whether you consider an unborn baby to be having a life already is what's important. If you do consider an unborn baby as already being alive and already a full human, so you would be taking the right of life away from the child if you choose to terminate the pregnancy or have an abortion. And if you don't think that the child is a full human yet, or they aren't born yet, they have to be born in order to be considered as having life, maybe immediately after they're born, then that is when you consider them to have life. Then you obviously won't think that you're taking the baby's right to life away. If you and if you do not, you would be taking the mother's right to terminate her pregnancy. So if you don't think that, I shouldn't confuse myself here. If you don't think that a baby who is in the womb is yet like having life, and then you choose for the child to get born, then you might be infringing on the woman's right to terminate her pregnancy. So, second bullet point, does it mean only the right for them not to be murdered, sentenced to death, or be the victims of genocide? So, this is about the sentencing, about criminals, people probably who've committed crimes and being sentenced to death. So, with regards to death sentences and people who are found guilty, they can either be killed in a state where they believe that that person who has killed someone, maybe you've murdered someone or you've raped the person, so you have infringed on that person's right to life. So basically, they believe that it is a life for a life. So you've taken someone else's right of life away, so yours should be taken away. And that maybe if you are an irresponsible citizen, then you're a danger to society and you are a threat to that very life. So then they have the right, when they sentence you to death. But then in our country, we know that we don't have the death penalty, even though some people have been asking for one, saying that our crime rates are too high. We should introduce the death penalty. But you know that we did away with the death penalty when we entered the new democracy because of the way that it was used in the past, to clamp down on like people who wanted us to progress and become a democracy. They were being sentenced to death. So a lot of people died innocently and were accused innocently. So we didn't want to carry on with the same system after 1994. So the system that South Africa has right now is, we call our prisons rehabilitation centers. So we believe that people who've committed crimes can be rehabilitated. So they're taken into prison and they are put on programs and they are workshops and be they are given skills, and then they are being made ready to be integrated back into society. So it is about them having made a mistake and being human, so we don't take away their rights of life, so we don't murder them, but rather we rehabilitate a person and then we go and integrate them into back into society when we have made sure that when we believe rather that this person is ready to be out there. So victims of genocide obviously die under unfair circumstances. Genocide can be caused like by tribal wars, people killing for ethnic cleansings, and yeah, we can see things like maybe massacres in protest actions, um, stuff like that. So people do have the right to life up. I think in cases of genocide, I don't think there's anyone that was meant to be killed or massacred. Genocide can never be correct. It's always a cause of war, and wars are never correct. And people should be able to live in peace without having to kill one another. So, when does life begin? I think that's a question that we answered in the first bullet point. So, does life begin when the child is conceived in the womb, or does life begin after the child is born? And then the fourth bullet point, does it begin at conception or at birth? So, in a case where the mother is okay, all right, that is for the next bullet point. So, if being pregnant is dangerous, we've moved to the slide. If being pregnant is dangerous to the mother's health, is the unborn child's life more important than the mother's life? So, in a case where the mother is in danger, someone may argue that the mother can terminate the child, but someone who maybe is more spiritual or uh, whose religion allows them to make space for maybe believing in healing, or someone who's an optimist can maybe discourage the woman from having an abortion and encourage them to carry full term, believing that both the mother and the child will be fine. So maybe the doctor will have said this is dangerous, maybe having run tests, because that would be a scientific explanation of why the mother should rather maybe choose to not carry to full term. Or then what would happen is you would be like, depending on your values and your morals, you would maybe decide that you've heard a story about someone who's gone through the same problem and they took their chances, then they did well and they were able to carry to full term. So the second bullet point, should a woman be forced to give birth to a child if she cannot look after it? So if the woman can't take care of the child, they may ask to terminate the pregnancy because they don't feel that they're ready to take care of the child. Maybe they feel that they're unemployed and that they won't be able to take the responsibility as they can't even take care of themselves. Someone might say, I find it hard to live from day to day. I need to go look for food every day, so I can't afford to feed an extra mouth. And maybe I'm homeless. The situation that I live in at home does not allow me to bring another child into the family. So this was a mistake and I don't want to have this child. So, but someone else will argue that you can maybe take this child to foster care, where they will have another parent take care of the child, and maybe every after 2 years you can renew the contract or decide whether you want to take your child or not. Because maybe after 2 years or 4 years, you will have found employment and you'll be ready and responsible to take the child, and you might feel that you've changed your decision because now you have money to take care of the child. So maybe making a decision to abort the child would have been premature, someone would argue. That now that you're okay, you can be able to go on. And then someone might also argue for adoption, that if you're not ready to take care of the child, or you feel that you're unemployed and you won't be able to provide, you can maybe give the child up for adoption and they can go to a family that has enough money to take care of their child. So another thing is that family, have you considered your family to take care of the child? So those would be the reasons. And then the third bullet point, should a woman be forced to keep a child that is the result of rape or incest? So a woman might not want to keep a child that was born out of rape or incest because they might be so in trauma of the event or the violation that has taken place to them. So they might still be experiencing the psychological effects of being raped. So the child might bring flashbacks. So they might have flashbacks of the rape. So they might, when they see their child, every time they see their child, they might have memories maybe of remembering whether the child, remembering the rape ordeal. They might still be in pain. So, and then some might feel that I don't know the father of the child, and I feel like if I'm going to be a parent, it should be my choice. I want to be a parent with a father who is present. I want to know the father of my child, maybe even for my child's identity. The child must know which family they come from, what the surname is. They must know the background of the father. And I'm not ready to answer questions about identity. And I don't feel that I want to take my child through the trauma of having to explain to them how the child was conceived. And then another thing is that maybe the child is unplanned. You weren't ready to have a child. You feel you're unemployed and you cannot take care of the child. So maybe you're a person who believes in family planning and this child wasn't planned, so you just can't take care of it. So some people would argue that you can still take the child to foster care. Then when you feel much better and you are relieved of depression and stress, you will maybe want to have the child back. And some will say that maybe you can give the child up for adoption so that they can go into a family that will take care of the child, even if the child is unplanned and you don't have money to take care of it. They can still be kept well by financially supported by social welfare. And then also, maybe they'll say you're overthinking the identity aspect. Everyone has an identity crisis at some point, and maybe identity at the end of the day is your choice. You know how you grew up, and you know your influences and the norms and values that you were taught. But then at the end of the day, you feel that you are the one who makes the final choice of what your identity is. So maybe they might argue that in terms of socialization, you're the one who's going to enforce your identity on the child. You're going to shape the way this child thinks and give the child direction. So if you don't make the child feel sorry for themselves, you might want to maybe make sure that the child is confident in the way you raise the child and instill some confidence and make sure they have a good self-esteem, and then they can always carry a name because you don't have to carry the shame and maybe want to get maybe a man who raped you or violated you into the life of a person, of an innocent child. So it might be best for them to not even know this person. So, and who said you can't raise a child as a single parent? And you can always get maybe your uncle or your brother or a good mentor to be a father figure to your child. So, should a woman be forced to have, or and then in the case of incest, maybe you're not ready to face your uncle, your brother, your father as the father of your child. Every time you see this uncle and or this brother, it will bring trauma and it brings psychological effects and flashbacks and memories, like I mentioned with a child born of rape. And then maybe you're just not even ready to parent with a family member and you just can't bring yourself to understand why this person did this and why they would put you in a situation where you have to now parent with a family member. So the last bullet point, should a woman be forced to have an abortion because her parents or boyfriend says she must? So it is her body. If she wants to keep the child and is ready for raising the child, then she can do so. But then on the other hand, she must also be ready uh, for rejection, because if someone says they don't want the child, then probably until they change their minds, maybe, then they won't be ready to accept the child. So there are families where they have said that we don't want this child, then you have it, then they kick you out. Or a boyfriend tells you, I don't want this child, you have it, and then they decide to be a stay away dad or a runaway dad, an athlete. So basically, that would be it. I mean, you wouldn't have to give away your child because maybe you would ask for assistance or get help from social welfare and social workers to help you take care of your child. So again, maybe your beliefs and your value systems will tell you that you should keep your child, and that as long as you work hard, you'll be able to raise a child and take care. So we're going to move to euthanasia. Euthanasia, I'm not even sure of whether I am pronouncing this correctly, but euthanasia is the act or practice of killing someone who is very sick or injured in order to prevent more suffering. The word comes from the Greek and means good death. There are various forms of euthanasia. So the first form of euthanasia is voluntary euthanasia. This is when the person who is killed has asked to be killed. So if if there's a right to life, then you cannot take away your own life. So if your country says that or just enforces that there is a right to life, and then they might say that you're not allowed to take your own life, then it will be illegal for you to take to ask for you to for us to ask for the government or the country in to allow you to take your own life. So that is it. I think in South Africa it is illegal for you to ask for this kind for your life to be terminated. And then non-voluntary euthanasia, when the person who is killed made no request and did not agree. So this happens when a person is in a vegetative state. So like a young child who's born with complications and maybe they are not responding, they are on life support, so the doctor will come in and try to explain to you that there's no use of keeping the baby on the machine because they don't have any life outside the machine. If we switch off the machine, the baby can never recover or can never be able to live by themselves. So maybe the best thing is to switch off the machine. So also people who are involved in fatal car accidents and have severe head injuries, they can end up being brain dead. And so this can go against the family, asking maybe for them not to switch off the machines, but they have to be switched off anyway because there's no way this person can recover. So any other sicknesses that causes a person to just for the for a person's brain to switch off basically can cause a non-voluntary euthanasia. And then assisted suicide, when someone provides an individual with the information, guidance, and means to take their own life. So when someone lets a this is when someone lets a person die. So this can be done by withdrawing or withholding treatment. Example, switching off a machine that is keeping a person alive, so that they die of their disease. So number 4 is what was I busy with? Um, Passive euthanasia, which involves not giving common treatments such as antibiotics, food, or water necessary for the person to carry on living. So basically, this is when you stop giving the medication and you stop giving the person the things that they need in order for them to carry on living, and this person ends up dying. So, and then active euthanasia, which involves the use of lethal or deadly substances such as an overdose of drugs. So, when death is brought about by an act, this is when death is brought about by an act. For example, when a person is killed by being given an overdose of painkillers and someone lets a person die, it's when you let a person die. I mean, it's when you deliberately intervene to end somebody's life, for example, a terminally ill person. So that is when you end the life of a terminally ill person. So I don't know what your opinion is about the euthanasia and the right to life. If you have an opinion, you can please just type it for me in the chat box. What do you think about euthanasia, the right to life? Do you think that our country should legalize it or not? What do you think? What is your opinion? What is your opinion? Should our country legalize it? Because currently in our country, it is illegal. So should our country maybe legalize someone asking for them to, for their life to be ended, for the state to assist them, or medics to assist them, basically, to end their life? Or if you have a comment, any comments with regards to the lesson, you can type it out for me. If you have a comment on the lesson and you'd like to type it out for me, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the voluntary euthanasia or non-voluntary euthanasia, assisted suicide, passive euthanasia? Have you heard of it before? And yeah, active euthanasia. Are you all okay? Are you all fine? All right, so I'm going to assume that everybody's okay. So your activity would be question 1. Do you think abortion should be legalized and why? Is it correct that it's legalized in our country? So are you pro or against abortion and why? I mean, do you think euthanasia should be legalized in South Africa and why? So these are questions that you can ask and answer for yourself. So the summary: sometimes you may have to make a difficult choice, such as abortion. A dilemma means that you believe that there are good reasons for two opposing actions. According to our Bill of Rights, everyone has the right to life. However, the Choice on Termination of Pregnancy Act, which gives the woman the right to decide whether or not to have an abortion, so it is there. No hospital can deny women this right. Some people's religious beliefs are against it. There is a conflict between the law and their beliefs. Euthanasia is the act or practice of killing someone who is very sick or injured in order to prevent any more suffering. There are different forms of euthanasia. So can I also ask you something? Is there a topic we're going to start doing revision? So I think, I don't know, maybe from the end of the week. So if there's something that you would like me to touch on or to revise you on, that something, maybe a subject that you didn't understand in LO, any chapter from the beginning of the year, from term one, please just type it out for me, or subject of interest, something that you would like me to consider to go through. Please just type it out to me in the chat box if there's anything. If there's anything that you want me to revise, something that you don't understand, or comment on the lesson. Are you guys okay? Is everybody fine? Is everybody okay? Is everybody okay? Is everybody fine? All right, thank you. If everybody is fine, then that is my pleasure. So let's move on to our final slide and just do our conclusion. So let's complete the lesson. So this is a link that I've put up for you. It's www.healthline.com.health. Okay, yes, that is the link that I've put up for you. So it's going to talk about basically dilemmas, making decisions, and how to make good decisions and things that you need to consider. Okay, so please join me for the next class, which is tomorrow on Tuesday. And then for more information, contact Africa Team Geek, and that is on their website. Also sign up for the newsletter. So please sign up for the newsletter so that you can receive the links as they come. And then as they change, and then follow us on all social media platforms at Africa Team Geeks no, at Africa Team Geeks on all social media platforms. Also remember to email me at litiga@yahoo.com. That is where you can get me, you can find me. So see you tomorrow. Thank you. See you tomorrow at your talk. Please do come to class, and maybe go ahead and go through your textbook and think about the things that you don't understand, things that you want me to cover, or topics that you want to speak about. It is LO, and there's COVID-19, and there's a whole lot of things. Think about things that you want us to speak about. Then you can type them out in the chat box tomorrow, and we can cover them. So thank you so much for the lesson. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.